Yo, welcome back, everybody. This is Mellow thing. Yeah, and I'm going track by track, talking to you about my latest album called Vexxxed II Volume I. Features 15 tracks, all produced by me. It's all live instrumentation for the most part: bass, drums, guitar, vocal. The first episode we talked about the intro. That first one featured a friend that came to one of the nights of the Rosario that we had after my mom had passed away in 2023. That intro goes straight into this first song called A Touch of Gold, which features Diea, who's a rapper from the OC. I've been working with him on and off for a number of years, even before all this stuff. Great rapper. He's got a good tone on his voice. He's been around the scene, and he had a group, and he's doing it on his own. He's learning how to play bass and doing his thing right now. But yeah, shout out Diea. Yeah, I got him on this track, and he did it like a number of years ago. So he was really psyched to do it when he did it. I know he got me the stems back like within a couple of weeks or a month or something like that. And I was working on a bunch of songs for this, and a lot of these songs are about 4 years in the making, 3 years at the least, because I had already been working on it since the first Vexxxed came out and building up to it. And even some songs I had used them for other people's albums like Specs or Daniel Levin, Arthur Caves. I used like a couple tracks for that. A lot of instrumentals for the part two, and just really trying to stack up sounds and textures and moods basically for the people I wanted to work on and people who I met along the way actually too, so that was always one of the goals, just to have a lot of stuff, so when I meet someone I could see, man, they would sound cool on this song or that song. When I'm working on a project like this, I don't necessarily tell the artist like, hey man, talk about this, or the album's about that and whatnot. I kind of just let them do their own thing, let them have their own spin and their own interpretation on the music that's being presented to them. Like, I don't really like to label the beats like names of like a mood or a scene or a situation. I usually just name the beats like references that remind me what I was feeling, thinking, or trying to emulate, whatever. So I usually name the beat like a reference to that. This one's beat, when I sent it to him, was called Favel, Favel. A lot of the music to me sounded like a fable, like like a bedtime story vibe stuff, because I was using a lot of instruments that I recently had acquired, a lot of weird orchestral sound. He wrote his lyrics to it, and so when he sent it back to me, he's like, it's called A Touch of Gold. I was like tripping out, honestly, because it kind of like made me think of my mom. The album's dedicated to her. Vexxxed II Volume I is dedicated to my mom. First one was dedicated to my dad. I thought of her because my mom was always known to have like a lot of gold stuff on, and she regularly bought and sold gold like all the time. So then a lot of the lyrics that Diea says, you just have to listen to the song to get to know what I'm talking about. Really like mirrored a lot of things that were going on at that time in my life, whether it be going through something where you just got to keep your head up and just keep pushing through it. Diea definitely one of those people. He's definitely like a soldier in that sense, very inspirational in that sense. So basically it started off with the lab Spitfire audio lab stuff. So started with this. It's like a lute guitar pluck thing or whatever, and so I started playing that thing and started adding, just building on that. So I added a pad sound, just give it some anticipation, some wonder, some curiosity, and obviously it needed a lead after that. So that's where these trumpets kind of like start becoming a melody or a lead or whatever. And so I started building off that and added some more trumpets, beef it up, so that's pretty much that's more or less the basis of the track. I always do the drums last, so usually I try to get a bedrock of the song, which is, the main sample that's gonna probably happen throughout the whole song or be taken in and out most of the time. Stuff on top of it to accentuate it in the lead. I wanted to make sure I fill in all the pockets with music before I had a drum beat that could eventually take up a lot of that space from the music or the vocals. So this is the bass. And if you hear it, the bass is just rocking back and forth. got a little tinny sounding, you know, got a little growly. But you know, added with that music, it adds, it just helps glue everything together, you know. Helps make it helps it groove. That's what the bass is supposed to do, you know. I mean, again, as a drummer, like, those are the things I need to work off of, you know, to know where we can go with this, where we can take it, where it's going, where it's been, and stuff like that, you know. So after that, so yeah, so that's pretty much the bass part. I want to add more stuff. I added like this guitar melody or some strums and stuff, you know? I'm not a guitar player by any means. I don't claim to be, but what I do know is what I can do, and you know, I could only evolve from that, right? But yeah, I just added some guitar strums in there. You know, when you mix that with the bass, it kind of helps embellish and accentuates like certain chords and give it some tension, you know. But yeah, this part here, you know, kind of was reminiscent of the Doors to me. If you're from LA, you know, that's something that's in your DNA, just by default, by your brothers, your Dieas, or whatever. At one time or another, you probably heard a Doors song. You know, that kind of helped give it that kind of sound, that kind of like a older type of sound. And so after that, I proceeded to add like you know, I wanted more guitar, but I didn't want it to be too conventional, too like, I just didn't want it to be too obvious, you know. I wanted to be there, but not. This guitar here, it's kind of like a solo basically, but really distorted and just going off in the background for the most part. And you could hear it if you listen hard. I didn't bury it too much, but it's buried enough, you know. You'll hear when the drums come in, you know? But I have it moving side to side, you know, just kind of just wavering in there, just being a ghost of a guitar solo, you know. The guitar solo that could have been. I still needed more textures and stuff, and I was really thinking at the time, like, really like sample-based music. One reference that I always come back to in my mind is for these rather Vexxed album series. Since the music is played live, I came at it with the approach of like, I want people to sample these songs in the way that they sample, you know, oldie songs and all that soul and sweet soul and all that stuff, all that soul music from, like, you know, the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So my goal is always trying to create something like that, and or at least having elements of that in the music, you know, really sample based, where it's just looping that one cool part of the song. You know, and usually those parts have like vocal layers, like of people just wailing on them, you know, which is probably the best parts of those type of songs to sample, is when you get the cool little singing parts that creep in and out. I did something like that, and I just went in the booth and just did some yes, and then just layered them. So there it is. So that's me saying, ooh, yeah. Yeah, and I'm just going through like an amp plugin that's stock on Logic, and using those effects on the onboard amp, you know, EQ, reverb, timing it, and then, you know, tremolo to make it fill in the space. So that was pretty much the bulk of the music. I'll play that part for you right here. Started from the ooh yeah. So once I had all that stuff, man, I mean, I was ready to get on the drums, you know, so I hopped on the drums. And so when I approached the drums, always like super simple. On Rather Vexxed, most of the drums were recorded with one microphone that was basically like, you know, aiming at my crotch. It's, you know, the dong mic, you know, basically using that one microphone to just capture the whole kit. For this one, obviously, you want to beef it up and stuff. Even though I was able to get good sounds, and I'm still able to, that's like the way I've started recording drums. So it's just something that's second nature to me, getting that drum sound good, mainly by being a good player. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I'm not smashing it. I'm barely paying attention, considering the limitations. So for this one, I was able to have 3 mics on my kit, and I could have had more, but I just kept it simple only because sometimes like I do them really fast. Like I capture these. I could have made the music like in half hour or whatever. So like sometimes the drums can be, I kind of like record them as like a demo, I'll fix them later, but then I end up mixing them super dope, and I'm like, that's cool enough for me. So this is basically the kit, you know. So it's just a kick drum mic, a snare mic, and then an overhead, and then, you know, processing of course on all this is what the drums sound like alone, real quick. Yeah, so I kept it pretty like based, pretty simple, you know, and just kind of like let the music do its thing, you know. I didn't want to get in the way too much of a lot of what's going on, because there's a lot going on. Then I was still gonna add vocals to it. That drum pattern was more or less led by the bass itself, because of the way it's rocking back and forth. I was able to just keep the kick straight and just keep it more of a, you know, hip hop tempo. It's 84, so I was able to, you know, just really meld those two together and like this. So yeah, so, you know, add the guitars. We'll add the orchestral stuff, you know. So yeah, that's the song, you know. And then so after that, you pretty much just get down on just rapping his ass off about trying to make it happen, you know, trying to keep it going, trying to keep your head up, trying to keep your head above water, trying to keep your head down and working hard, you know. That's the kind of stuff that my mom was all about, you know. Like, she went through a lot of things, and, you know, having to raise 10 kids, you know, at various different eras. Like, you know, she went through a lot of stuff. So that's a lot of the stuff reminds me of her. Some of the lyrics, you know, or stuff that she would like, she was about, you know, basically, you know. That's A Touch of Gold featuring Diea off Vexxxed II Volume I. Available everywhere, it's streaming everywhere. I'll play some of Diea verse for you real quick.
Catch me when I fall, cliff climbing in the rain. I pray my brother's not a slick surface. I ain't lose power, not at all. I think better in the dark, why I don't feel the need to hope this shit is worth it. Crush a false quote, no qualms, being honest, trying to get it out the logic. So they think of me as godless or different, but I felt this shit will never change. But all the shit that we attempted, what would we attain? I fuck around and let my phone die trying to gain, and I don't put it on the charge, it's only me to blame. I work it out, lean to the side when you whisper them secrets and mystic, man. I keep my future from the era. The demons, I harbor strength and the skill. I relax.
So that was A Touch of Gold featuring Diea off Vexxxed II Volume I, and that directly goes into the sample, which is actually is my mom this time around. So I'll play that for you right now.
Con él en el balazo él cayó así. Y yo pensé, y tú ya te pegaron. Y él siguió así. Y para enderezarlo, sentarlo, porque se cayó. Y cuando hice así, ¡pum!, sentí el balazón que me dieron a mí. No podía respirar. ¡Uy!, decía yo. No podía respirar normal. Sí, ya tuve que regresar. Y me ponía en las manos y sentí el pum, sentí el chorro. Y salió la mano. Y salió la mano.
So yeah, that leads into the next song, which is called Close Calls. Features Aldoni, a longtime homie of mine. And the story that you heard of my mom before that track came in is basically a story I'll get into next time about how she was shot and how this correlates to what Aldo's talking about on this song. All right, thank you guys for being here. Again, this Mellow thing, Vexxxed II Volume I, go stream that right now. Available wherever you can stream that. And I'll catch you guys later. Subscribe, like, comment, all that, share, and I'll see you guys soon.